Echo Wicca!
Here we are at the Baine swimming pool.
That's where we got the sun this morning. At the pool. Did I miss that spot over there? Oh, shit. Boy, it doesn't take long for it to get cool around here. Nichols, did you hear about the girl that had a pussy that was that was so big? Hey, tell them the story about the girl that had the pussy that was so big. Come on.
She was taking a wee-wee at the boat dock.
That's right. They lost the large canoe. Yeah. They didn't know where it went, and it went right in the old boober hole right there.
Once upon a time, a small village in South Texas. Very few strange people.
I once knew a girl I once knew a girl from North Carolina.
God, you're so relaxed, you don't even...
I am so.
Watch out for that snake.
I wonder if Maggie and Lewis were home.
I don't know.
Maggie's mowing.
Maggie's mowing. What do you mean?
We got all the scoop.
Well, I wonder if she heard pussy.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah. You know, when you have a big hooter, sometimes you have to. Oh, hi, Steve. Golly. I hate people sticking a camera. You hear us talking? Let's drink some more beer and be somebody.
And somehow he'd get in the back of my pickup and get dropped off in my driveway.
Right. Yeah. How's the water? Cold as hell?
No, not at all, John. It feels wonderful.
You're lying like a rug.
No.
Man. You just
I don't lie.
you do lie.
Okay, you dive in the pool. If I lied, then you have to pay.
Feels great. It feels fantastic.
Yeah, you say it because you guys have been running, but for me, you just got out of bed.
Not
Let's
cold.
go skinny dipping. John, you started.
Hey, no, it is good, John.
Well, we've got the cutest pool sweep lady. Really?
You missed one. Well, they're hard off the
Oh,
bone.
you gotta pay.
I wouldn't worry.
I like this house.
I do too.
Yeah, it's cute.
How old is the house?
I guess, what, 30?
Have you ever
35
built
years?
a house?
35 years?
You never built a house.
Not, well,
Not,
when you take a house and completely
What you do? That's
Rebuilt.
you left the
We
foundation.
got some plans.
okay.
Yeah. I got a.
Well, we have some house plans too. We
I
have
got
some
a good set
plans.
of plans, but I haven't got enough.
$5,000
build a
worth of
house.
plans.
Let's do it.
Like I said, I got the wine cellar and all that shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
John, if we build a house though together, we'd never get through with it because everybody go, oh, wait a minute, we gotta have a slide going from the living room to the
Slide.
dining room.
Man, you know, they about talking me into going in the
Excuse me. Nichols, get that camera off.
I'll tell you what, feels great. Feels really good the whole breakfast.
Take it off, Lane.
There's a big beetle. Oh, look at that. There's a big beetle over there.
Oh,
girl.
let me get a zoom of that.
Yeah, do that. Get a zoom of that.
This would probably be good for your Charlie horse later.
And give me a big fat cat.
Here's the Beef and Barbara,
In love.
and we're saying goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, I forget it.
Bye.
Talker.
Bye.
I'm safe. Stay long.
Another hug.
Wish she didn't have to go. This is a hard weekend to leave. I know. We've been here. It seems like we're months now.
We all just live together.
Yeah. Let's go.
Our little circle.
We'll just add on.
Bean farm. We could raise beans back out here.
I've got a thing of black beans in here, y'all. On a day.
Pintos. I think you're safe.
Barbara?
All right. Oh, I'm driving.
That's Steve.
Of course,
You have to drive.
He drank it.
I'm driving to Austin. He's driving.
We had
There
to
goes
make
Paco.
leave the next Saturday. Well, you talking last night about how when you first got it, I mean, I could just feel the excitement of, having your own little place, and that'd be tough to get back down, to wait for the period to get back down here right after you bought it. And
Yeah.
use it and
Oh, he
fix
was
it
so
up.
excited about using it. And see, well, we had just gotten it, and then we went to Japan. And we were just telling all those Japanese up there, because, they can't even own land.
Oh.
Group. Just a few years ago, there was an obvious difference between the communications manager and an EDP manager. The communications manager used to go to his boss and say, if I buy this piece of equipment, I can save you so many dollars a month. The whole decision was driven by the notion of cutting cost. At the same time, the EDP manager went to his boss and said, if we invest so many millions of dollars, I can provide you more information faster and in a more usable format. That entire conversation was driven by the notion of making his company more competitive and more efficient to manage. Today, the communications manager sounds like the EDP manager. He has to be prudent, he has to be cost conscious, but his job is to invest in the competitiveness and management efficiency of his corporation. This raises an interesting question. Why aren't communications managers kicking your doors down to get their hands on our feature modules? Why aren't they buying the full range of features offered by our competitors? Why is it that they demand you have all of these integrated voice data features, all of these network gateways, all of these protocol converters, storage and retrieval features, and then they don't buy them? Our experience with the users group suggests that the reason is that they simply don't understand them. Oh, they know what voicemail is, and they know what text mail is. They could pass a test on packet switching services and 3270 emulation, but they can't yet relate these capabilities to the economic advantages for their companies. And this is a situation that we, the manufacturers and suppliers of modern communications equipment, have to correct. It is easy to see how a bigger computer can get the payroll out faster at less cost. It is not so easy to see how more efficient message handling can make a sales or service force more productive, and how that productivity can be turned into better customer service, brand preference, and profits. We have to help our customers see the benefits that we are offering, because as Jerry pointed out, once they fully appreciate the benefits of modern sophisticated communications, they choose NEC equipment. NEC has it all. As you have heard during the conference, these marketing and support services we are putting in place are for your benefit, to make you more effective in the marketplace in selling NEC products. My operation in research is no different. NEC invests in these activities to give you market information, and I want to conclude my remarks by assuring you that our work is available to you. We are assembling on a regular basis market information, competitive information, customer information, product information. Call us. We will be more than happy to meet with your people and share the information we have gathered. Perhaps we can work together on a study that you need to answer a question. We are a resource for the NEC sales team, and you are an essential player on the NEC sales team. There is one other kind of listening that I almost forgot to mention, one of the kinds of research that I think is very important to our success. We here at NEC need to listen to you. No one is closer to the customer. No one hears more quickly what the customer's needs, his products and feature preference, his reaction to competitive claims and operation. We need your input. Here at our annual Associates Conference is a very good place to start, but we need your input throughout the year. What you hear from customers enables us to respond to immediate needs, but it also adds our total knowledge of our markets, which helps us address our long-term needs. You listen to your customers, then we'll listen to you. If that sounds like teamwork, then we're right on target, because teamwork will make us all winners. This team approach to the telecommunications marketplace will help us better understand the changes and the challenges that are before us. Anticipating change is an essential part of our business. The following film illustrates this idea quite well, and I think you'll find it useful. Thank you.
We can get the rest of the staff here. Don Hoffman, Ralph Russo, Vice President of Operations, Ricky Osato, Vice President of Engineering, Shiro Matsui is Director of Planning, Donna Giordano, who's Manager of Personnel, and Bill Gorey, who's Senior VP of Finance and Administration. We hope you'll be kind to us. Who do we forget? Lou Bender, excuse me, Lou. You've been up here so often that we have felt that the real opportunity, and as we have described it as a roundtable, is we're here to answer any of the questions that you have. Easy ones, hard ones, whatever it might be, so that we can have an open dialogue. And as Mike Rosen was saying, we participate with that users group, and it's proved very beneficial to some of the things that we didn't see early on in the 2400. And you know, we're partners with you. We'd like to answer whatever you have, hear any comments, have at us.
Excuse me, I'd like to mention that on the floor carrying some microphones is Craig Eckert, who is our Director of Product Management on stage left. Mike Rosen on stage right. So if you have any questions, raise your hand. They will come to you with the microphone.
GC Telephone Company in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're very close to Santa Clara, and we get a lot of exposure to the wonderful things that NEC is doing. There seems to be a gap in the marketing phase. NEC offers so much, but we don't seem to be able to supply our customers with the products that maybe go with the office of the future. There seems to be a gap. If we need a computer for our customer, or we need a fax, there seems to be some gap there. Is that being addressed?
Yes.
Next.
Anything else? Yeah, it is, and this is part of what he's left. That Bob Miller was getting at. And I'll say it, we have not been, as a corporation, the simplest company to deal with. And I think the important part about that is that we recognize it, whether it's from the Nexus side or pagers, mobile phones, local distribution radio, whatever it might be. We know that it hasn't been a simple thing for you to get through. Our goal is to simplify that entire approach, and one of the major things that we have done over the last year, and particularly within the last 6 months, is really driving the co-location of all those groups in the regional offices and everything. And I think you probably have, but I found in my experience, if you start at the simplest level, and that's putting the salespeople together from the different groups, they start talking. And we are addressing it, and you'll see after you leave here, going to the CNC Showcase East, that we've got everything in the corporation under one roof and working. And that's a start in that direction, to trying to close that marketing gap. You know, it just bugs me when I hear stories that, geez, we can't get any information on XYZ product or something because the guy hasn't called within the corporation. And it may be one of Don's.
These organization, United States, but is it part of NEC America or not?
No, it is not. NEC Information Systems is a separate group. It is a part of NEC Industries, which is our holding company in the U.S. The chairman and CEO of NEC Industries is also Mr. Suzuki, who was here yesterday. He wears two hats as chairman of NEC America and also of NEC Industries. NEC Industries is a financial holding company in the U.S. For all of the financial transactions of the corporation, but NEC Information Systems is a separate group from NEC America at this time.
Yes, that's where we had some of the problems with the Astra with the 2400 to, get it serviced and everything else. So otherwise, all of your equipment and services has been excellent throughout the years.
Well, we appreciate that. One of the things we are doing with respect to Nexus is we've got meetings running roughly right now about every 6 weeks, and Mike Rosen sits in on those so that we've got a good working dialogue on the interface and everything, and you're hopefully not left high and dry when you're looking for something on an Astra, because we are all in the same family. It's a good point. Don just reminded me of something that I personally sit on the CNC Executive Committee. There's 5 of us there at the current time, and Dick Underwood, who's president of NEC Information Systems, is also in that group. And we have quite a bit of dialogue going on, and we address this type of thing of the interface and some of the more mundane things that we run into, and that's I say mundane from the standpoint that it's a day-to-day business thing that shouldn't happen, but that's getting the service level there with the guy that knows what's going on with the Astra as well as our own people. And I know that dialogue has improved dramatically in the last year.
Adrian Smith with Midland Communications. I've noticed a lack of emphasis on the Electra IMS in the meetings here. Is there any reason for that?
Number one. Well, if you've noticed throughout the meeting for the Associates Conference, it's been more driven towards the management philosophy of the direction we're going to take for the next year, and also trying to capture what we've done over the past year. All the products for NEC telephones will be shown on the 6th floor in the CNC showcase, and the Electra IMS will be down there, as well as the Impulse and all the rest of the product offerings. Our technical people and also our product management people will be on the floor and will answer any questions you may have regarding the specific product. But we felt that we didn't want to be here to promote and hype the product per se. We wanted to promote and hype the business direction that we're taking for the next year.
Andy Burns, ABC Communications, Miami, Florida. First of all, I want to thank you all for having us. We had a really good time here. Last year, the Keys for Cash program had my salesman breathless. Your points prize program this year has got a yawn. Any talk about going back from to the Keys to Cash program?
We are continually evaluating promotion programs along with the best ways to market the product, and we do have several other plans under consideration. We'll try to give you enough notice so that you can put it into effect and get the most productivity out of it, but we will have additional plans coming down this year.
Let me ask a question. Did you feel the Keys to Cash was effective?
So raise your hands on that. How about the Merits program?
Do we have a raise of hands on the Merits program?
Okay.
How about, what would you prefer, Keys to Cash to your sales force or Keys to Cash to the end user? Salesforce?
And a computer.
Was that good? The lab computer program?
I thought for a while we cornered the free world market on lap computers because we had to buy them from our sister company.
Morris Jeffries, Crescent Industries. Last year when we were in New Orleans, NEC expressed their commitment to more customer awareness. I've seen this in all areas but one, and this is in engineering, of where it is very, very difficult to get a return telephone call when a tech is on site. Is there any way that this could be improved upon? And also, I want to agree totally with Andy, what he said, but also I think it would be important that we go back to regional meetings in addition to the national meeting. This was a great time to get distributors within a region together. When the regional meeting started several years ago, this was the first opportunity we had had to get together as distributors, and it was the first opportunity that we started talking to each other.
Sato-san, you want to answer the first part of that?
Yes. We were aware about that, let's say, some late answer or not pick up the phone call. We have been trying to improve the situation, and we have added one person only for taking telephone call and pass that information to engineer, which didn't happen before. That is the first step we have improved. And also in general matters, we have just started to put all those informations into the computer on real-time basis, and we can easily track whatever problem from which customer happened, what the status. That has been just started months ago. So we are aware about that problems, and we keep improving. So, but the first improvement we have done is we added more people, not hold you so long on the telephone. So I would have to say, please be patient for a while. We will improve more. Okay. But if you are not totally satisfied, please give me a call, and we can talk, and give me push. So I try to improve more.
One other,
one other thing that in the regional offices, Bob Lane, our vice president of the West Coast region, developed a tracking system for incoming calls and how many calls we return, how long it takes us to return them, and we'll be implementing that in our other regions. And one of the other major changes we made is that we have a special UMG group. Some of the UMG being its size, 5, 10, 15,000 lines, some of those calls take a little longer than others, so we've segmented those off into a separate UMG hotline group, and you'll be getting notification on this so that when you call in and you've got a IMG or something that needs a quick answer, you're not waiting for somebody that's working 2 hours on something else. And we are prioritizing this, and I think you'll see a lot better response. We recognize that, and we are addressing it as an entire company.
I'm Randy Smith with Protocom in Georgia. I'd like to say that I'm most pleased to hear about your end user groups. I suggested some time ago that I thought it would be beneficial to have a distributor council, and having participated in such a group with NEC Information Systems a while back, I thought it was very beneficial for both sides. I'd like to see some movement on that. Additionally, it is obvious that NEC has done a tremendous job of getting a handle on the vision of where they need to go, and I think obviously it's essential that NEC build competitive, reliable products to be a big player in the marketplace. But I think we have an outstanding model in the auto industry with which to look further beyond products and support with respect to how we can address the issues that will allow the distribution channel to grow. I would like to see NEC embark on a program of looking at other forms of programming that address other issues within the distributor network. We increasingly find ourselves limited with respect to our ability to expand our sales efforts of your products as a result of tremendous amounts of capital that are tied up in inventory and receivables and other areas of our business. MRAs, for example, create a tremendous impact on our inventories. Changing products obviously impact our inventories in a big way. The net result of this is we have a lot of money tied up that could otherwise be used to expand, add additional salespeople, training, that sort of thing, which is the key and essential to us selling more of your products. And last but not least, I'd like to address a question to Mr. Gorey. For those of you who do not know, Mr. Gorey will be getting married on April the 6th. And Bill, while I'd like to say congratulations, I'm more concerned with how this is going to impact your credit policy.
Well, needless to say, Randy, I'm going to be a hell of a lot more strict. Since I'll have a budget to run at home. But I don't think that you'll see any changes with regard to the credit policy. I think we have that act pretty well in order. As you know, we try and review everyone's credit lines based upon requests, etc. We think we're doing a pretty thorough job. To the best of my knowledge, we don't have that much of a backlog with regard to credit lines that have been requested to be reviewed again. I don't have any applications on my desk piling up with regard to required approvals, etc. Once again, we try and give the credit line or provide you with a credit line to meet your needs and, of course, our needs. So we will continue going along in that direction, and I do appreciate the vote of confidence in my upcoming marriage.
Trudy Van Kirk from Gray Communications. You sent out a long memo that dealt with the customizing of the MMG and doing it on site. To the best of my knowledge, I copied that for about 5 people, and I don't think anybody has completely read it because it was so long. Can you briefly explain, there's a $2,500 fee associated. Is that per location? Is that per company? What does it save us?
Craig, I think you ought to answer that.
Imagine that.
You wrote it, you're standing there.
Do I have to do this over the microphone?
Yes.
The $2,500 fee is a fee that was charged for NEC to come out and evaluate your companies, whether you are able, have the competence, have the experience to customize an MMG. That $2,500 fee covers that. Absolutely. If you are certified, then you can save the customizing fee that's listed on, I think, about page 4 of the memo.
Okay. I didn't get that one, Greg.
Keep reading, you'll get to it.
Electronics in Fort Worth. Bill, do you plan, I've got several questions here, do we plan to continue the discounting on the invoices? Why does it take over 30 days to get the enhanced 1648? Will the enhanced be, can we buy that in the bulk procedure and get the additional discounting? And is there anything else, we're a small local company in Fort Worth, not Dallas. Is there anything else we can do to acquire more discounting?
John, I'll take questions number 1 and 3. With regard to the early cash discount, we've reviewed it once again, and even though that the prime has gone down to 9%, we will be sending notifications to all of you that the 1.25% will be in effect through June 30th, at which time we will review it again. The pricing, with regard to item number 3, the pricing committee did meet, and we have decided to include the enhanced terminal in the, bulk buy 1648. I don't believe notifications have gone out with regard to that. Craig, maybe you might help me on that. We haven't sent notifications yet, have we?
Yes, on the bulk buy?
Yeah.
Yes, they're in the mail.
They are in the mail. Okay.
The other question on the delivery, Ralph?
Yes, regarding the enhanced 1648, we had a minor firmware update, which has been released through engineering, and you should start seeing shipment this week.
Greg Osler with Mercury in Dallas. I'd like to know why you have the policy of not letting distributors know about other distributors of what they've sold in the 2400. I think anytime we're out trying to sell 2400s, it's really nice to get some of the names like Yale and Vanderbilt, the University of Texas, and some of the names that you brought out. It gives a lot more credibility towards a switch that, of course, some of the smaller interconnects might not be able to install. But it'd be good for the Sims or the IMG.
There is no, I'll take that one, unless you got hard policy on that. One of the things that we run into periodically is some companies' reluctance to get identified, or institutions, in printed form, if you want to say it that way. We're seeing less and less of that through the users group and everything. And I totally agree with you, because it's a tremendous endorsement of the product when you look at the companies and institutions, some of which I mentioned yesterday, that are using the 2400. And there's a lot more than just the few that I mentioned. You go from in addition to the ones I mentioned yesterday, the Olin Corporation with a tandem network in, and the University of Colorado coming down with another UMG, GTE headquarters in the Midwest with a UMG. Those are the big ones, and there's a tremendous number of hospitals and other networks that various of you have put in, running simultaneous data, and with CCIS, the Watchtower Society here in New York City has 3 buildings, I think they're 4 or 5 blocks apart, running CCIS, things like that. And we probably should and will endeavor to publish a list. I don't know what the copyright problems or any of that thing are, but I know it can be a very effective selling tool for you. I appreciate that, Greg.
Roger Wintowski with Business Telephone Systems, and we appreciate the NEC auto quote system. It's a very valuable tool to us, but oftentimes it is congested and hard to get through. And I was wondering, in terms of improving it, whether anybody's ever investigated the possibility of putting it on another information service such as the Source or CompuServe, and a possible benefit to that if the integrity of the system and the security could be maintained, is those informational services also have very elaborate electronic mail systems which would tie us together for communications as well.
AutoQuote is one of our top priorities at the present time. We have heard that, and we know we have had intermittent problems with the AutoQuote. And you can help us by being very specific on what problem it is. We're trying to determine if it's really the AutoQuote or if it's the access to it. And that's a little bit of a frustrating problem to us as well as you, but we are concentrating on it 100%. We have evaluated a new system. Before we go ahead with that new system, we want to assure that it's just not an access problem to it. So if you run into the auto quote, you could help us run into problems on the auto quote. If you could just freeze in time there and get a hold of Mr. Jerry Buttry, who's Director of Sales Engineering, right on the phone, and we can attack the problem while you're on the line, it would really help us both.
Yeah, there is one thing that I'll add to that, Don, and that is some of the complaints, and they've even gravitated to my desk, is, lockup. And then you get a cascading effect. Now, we've got 8 access lines on that auto quote system, and they do not come through the in-house switch. These are direct over the network. But you can help us if you tell your people that are working that auto quote to sign off. When I really started to get my cork unscrewed as to why we were getting lockups and complaints, part of it is when your people are done, they don't sign off, and that leaves our computers sitting there saying, waiting for the next message. And we can't run the software on that thing to take a 10-second delay, and then terminate the line and reinitialize it. So if they don't sign off, it leaves that trunk hung up there. And then maybe they start another quote and come in on another line, and theoretically one guy can hang up the whole system in a minute and 15 seconds. Now, I don't know if Rome has an entry code on it or not, but there is that problem if you just be sure your own people sign off. Tremendous amount of work and study has gone into this. And lab computers also cause a problem.
Ken Carver, Southeastern Telecom. I had understood that there is a possibility that, or it looks like there's going to be a new key system that will be announced towards the end of the year, third, fourth quarter. If that is the case, and there is a new product coming down the line, how will it be offered? Will the interconnects here again get a cosmetically different set than the telcos? And secondly, how will the shipments be placed, or will it be similar to the situation we had a couple years ago where the interconnect seemed to have gotten slighted in delivery?
Let me address part of it, okay? Number one. I'd like to address part of that. If we reflect back 2 years ago when we were bringing out the product, and last year we talked quite extensively about this and talked about the term shortages. We, although did have shortages, but if you look at it from the positive point from the marketing side, they weren't really shortages. We were delivering more equipment than we had ever done before. We just weren't able to keep up with the product needs and demands. We also had 2 different distribution channels that were coming at us, one of the traditional interconnect and the new emergence of the RBOCs that were coming on stream. Last year was the first year that we ever had a very harmonious group all together under one roof of both the RBOCs, the telcos, and the interconnects together, and there were no major fights. So we decided to do it again this year, and I think we're getting even better. So as we're going forward with new products coming out, you'll be brought into the fold of what we're doing early on, and we'll also know what your requirements are going to be. Also, 2 years ago, we had a split within the regions. This year, and through the last year, all of the efforts in the regions have been put under the regional vice president, that decentralization back out to the regions. So I think our forecasting, our availability, and the needs of the market, especially your particular needs, are being brought to us far greater than what they were in the past. So I don't anticipate any problems.
And to answer one other phase of your question, there is not going to be a differentiated product out there, or what you may consider a proprietary one. Okay? Pardon?
Well, that product, is that a good rumor that I've heard? Is there going to be a new key system announced?
Well,
I still...
Oh, excuse me. New key system.
Oh.
I would like to say that, you're part of NEC, and we would be foolish to not tell you that we're not looking at new products. We're always looking at new products. We've got a lot of things on the drawing board, and you're going to see many things downstairs. We don't have any firm dates at this point in time. But we do have some very unique product that's being breadboarded and looked at. But nothing, no plans of it coming out at the point.
Tell you where we are is we have to, and to put it to rest, we're not sure at this particular stage, and this may sound dumber than hell from a management position, but it's not, as to some of the configuration we want, and we're bringing a number of things parallel so that we can make the decision at the appropriate point in time without impacting our product schedules.
Yeah, Michael Lagana from Standard Telecommunications. Jerry, the question is regarding the turnaround time for repairs. Normally we'd expect a 30-day turnaround time, and we've experienced up to 5 to 6 months turnaround time. That directly affects our level of spare parts that we have to inventory. I'm wondering what kind of assurances you can give that that turnaround time will be kept within the 30 days time frame.
As we mentioned in the last couple of days, the MRA situation has become a priority. Jerry has allocated resources to it. We are aware of the situation, and we're definitely trying to get it within the 30-day limit. You should be seeing some improvement coming in the next probably 60 days.
And Mike, the thing that impacted us there, and we got behind the power curve on it, frankly, was some of the upgrades that were going on and advanced replacements that Bill talked about yesterday impacted operations. And you may rest assured that Ralph has a very firm objective of getting that thing to 30 days. Now, I think he's going to slide on the date that I gave him, which was March 31. I don't know that he'll admit that publicly, but we're awfully close to that, because there's a lot of money tied up in it. Bill, do you want to add to that?
Excuse me. In a number of cases, we've actually reached the under 30-day time frame. There are some parts that we still can't achieve this with. But as Ralph mentioned, this is definitely one of our priority items that we're working on right now. And it's a combination effort. It's both the MRA for the bulk of the work, financial, and the sales personnel are out there also trying to help us identify problems in this area.
Charlie Walker, Custom Telephone. This brings a point to mind. Will the 2400 console work on a NIAC 12A?
Let me answer that question. I'd like to make sure your question is the 2400 console will be working with NIAC 12A? Is that your question?
My question was, will the 2400 console, since it looks so similar to the NIAC 12A analog switch, will it work on a 12A? Because we've had 2 consoles in for repair in excess of 6 months. One of them we can't even trace now. And we were wondering the other day if we could take one of our 12A consoles and plug it into the and use it in lieu of.
Maybe it looks similar, but it's not compatible with 12A. That's the answer.
And to not let the issue drop here, we will work on trying to get me a console. Maybe we could talk after the roundtable.
Private telephone. Some of the call-ins that people are making, that we are making into key system engineering, if we had access to some sort of electronic bulletin board, I'm sure by the time an ETI bulletin comes out, the one that came in mind was the problem with the 616 wall mount brackets, that the phones won't hang up. If every distributor was calling in, asking that same question over and over again, why can't we get a fix on those kinds of little plastic things that cause us all those service calls?
If that was on a bulletin board, obviously we wouldn't be spending engineering time trying to find those little things which could be put up and we could call up and find out that you glue a little piece of plastic on there or whatever it takes to make the thing work out in the field. Well, that's just a suggestion. If we could come up with technological ways of voicemail or bulletin boards so we could get into these things without taking up all your people's time. Thank you.
One of the things we have looked in there is utilizing announcements over an ACD system internally. Appreciate that comment. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why the hell we had trouble getting you wall mount brackets, but that's our separate subject.
From API. I was wondering what your attitude towards logistic support on 22s are going to be for the coming year. I realize we're here primarily talking about 2400s, but we have a very large 22 base install. And each time we attempt to expand one, it seems that we're required to order something from Tokyo that takes 9 months. Most of these 22s, we hope eventually are going to be 2400 customers, and it's pretty hard to convince them to buy 2400 when we really maybe not supporting the 22 as we should. Primarily on the expansions of the 22s, there's a coax cable I'm sure that some of you guys are familiar with, and we're required to order that from Japan. And it takes, we give the customer 9 months, and it's got down to a point now they want us to sign a contract stating that we can fulfill it in 9 months. Is that true or not?
You referring to a 22 large?
Yes. Yes.
If it's a 22 large, I would say that, yeah, the extended lead times are indicative of what happens with, as the older products start to fall out. We do require, greater lead times. And the 22 large was a equivalent to a UMG, okay? So it's not really a stock type item that we keep on the shelf. But, we'd be more than happy to address your particular problem and see what we could do for you.
Yeah, Alex, we have, I know, pulled some of those down to, on a couple of major 22L editions into the 5-month category. But when you're looking at those types of line additions, you look at the 22 on a worldwide basis, they don't happen overnight in my experience, and that there's always the exception. But when you're talking a 600 or 1,000 line addition on a 22, somebody better have done some planning early on and have remembered to order the switch edition, let alone build the building or whatever. And that is just not NEC. That's generic in the industry on large additions on older switches.
We have several of the reason I'm saying this, we're from California, of course.
Yeah.
We have several of the studios that have 22Ls that are paid for, and they are a money-making entity of the corporation. And these guys are usually expanding by 240 lines in 240 line increments, and they're not going to give up. They're going to continue to expand these, and it's a real problem that we're going to live with.
Yeah, Charles, if you have so many 22 larges out there and you feel confident that they're going to continue to expand, why don't you just give us some type of, forecast or what you need? We'd be more than happy to, start at the front end and get the orders placed. Specifically, if you could, if you could work with Bob Lean, sit down and put together a forecast of what you think you're going to be using, requirements for the next year, year and a half, and we'll do everything we can to get it expedited through. But I think that with your base, it would behoove you to do that.
I would like to say that Bob Lean did help us in the last one, and with his assistance, we did it fairly quickly, but it's going to be an ongoing problem, so I was just wondering if it was I don't want to drive him nuts every time we need something.
Why don't you drive him nuts just once?
Okay.
Put one in for about 4 or 5 editions, and then we could handle the situation.
If I could add a little bit to that, the whole forecasting procedure is very, very important to us, and I would just really plead with you to work with our regional offices on these forecasts. We order many, many, many months out in advance on both Dallas and NEC Corporation, and it is all based on the firm forecast that we roll every 30 days out 12 months. And I really ask you to give some serious thinking to that forecast each month.
Judy Kearney, Ameritech. NEC uses the user group meetings as a platform for announcing enhancements, 4,000 software as an example. And I'd like to ask about the feasibility of getting some kind of advanced briefing package on what those announcements will be before the user group actually meets. Because we participate in that, my subsidiaries, their phones were ringing off the wall, wanting to know about how and when can we get 4000 series software installed, and we didn't have the information in a timely manner.
We fully intended to have a pre-meeting to the users group, and time, frankly, just got away from us. We really would like to have an associates meeting previous to the users group and have you join us on the platform in front of the users. And we are going to try that. I believe there's another users group coming up in June. Mike, 19th and 20th?
I don't remember the exact dates, but it is June in Phoenix.
Our target is to publish information to you early May as to what we're going to cover at that users group. They send the questions to us. We do not generate or originate the program. They give the questions to us, and then we respond to them.
I could add a comment to that, and that is a users group. And you, as our associates, and I appreciate this opportunity, Judy, should also address your questions to our members of that panel offline, so you don't get us between you and that user. And that has happened, I think, at the last meeting. As Don said, somebody said $80 for the D term too. A user.
One of the users asked me why we charged $80 for the D term too.
How do you feel that one? However, I think Don's hit it on the head, that he is shooting to have a pre-users group meeting with our associates to advise you of what we're going to tell them and trying to get the communications lines running in the right direction. It'll help everybody. We thank you for your questions. There's a couple talking about the users group. There are some hot items that have come up that everybody may not be aware of, and I think you had some there, Don, that you wanted to highlight.
Well, one of the hottest items was the 4000 series, and I think everybody is quite familiar with that. One of the items was the weight of the D term 2, and we have optional weight that does go on the bottom of the D term 2. As Mike said, the questions are down to really small miscellaneous items. If you've got any information or you're getting hit with information from the users that you think that they will be sending in for the June meeting and can give us some advance notice, we would appreciate that. But at the last users group, the users invited a couple of potential users. And after the meeting, they came in and said, you know, you really don't have any big problems, do you? You've got a lot of little bitty problems that it looks like you can solve quite readily. And then they went ahead and ordered the system.
With respect to other areas that are going on, some of you have been selling to various governmental agencies and everything, and we have just completed a pre-award compliance via the Department of Labor. Donna, why don't you brief everybody in 1 minute or less?
Okay. One of your customers had a governmental contract, and we were subject to a pre-award compliance review in which the federal government came in and took a look at all our policies and practices as it related to personnel and our files and our treatment of employees. They spent about 3 days with us and literally went through everyone's personnel file and all our policies. And I'm happy to say that we passed it with flying colors. We were notified last Friday of the approval. So on this end, we're in good shape, and we're looking forward to getting more of those orders in.
If that's it, anybody else up here have anything to say? Thank you. We'll get on with the program.